Welcome to Green Tiger Legion USA. My name is Zach Montoya, President of Green Tiger Legion USA. We are a Second Amendment advocacy and general preparedness organization here in the state of Oregon. Today, we'll be discussing the assassination of Charlie Kirk, as well as the shooting in Colorado. So let's go straight into it. So who was Charlie Kirk? Charlie Kirk was a Second Amendment advocate, a pro-life advocate, and above all, he was a very Christian individual. Today, though, we'll be focusing on his Second Amendment advocacy by reading you a couple quotes. So here's one quote. Criminals love gun control because it ensures only criminals control the guns. 2. There is no First Amendment without a Second Amendment. Make no mistake, you can't pick and choose your freedoms. They put in the Second Amendment to protect us against government tyranny. And 3, this is the most controversial one, circling online, but I'll read it for what it says. I think it's worth it to have a cost of unfortunately some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our God-given rights. So I'm going to roll the full footage because I think some of this was taken out of context. So let's go to the footage right here.
How's it going, Charlie? I'm Austin. I just had a question related to Second Amendment rights. We saw the shooting that happened recently, and a lot of people are upset. But I'm seeing people argue for the other side that they want to take our Second Amendment or rights away. How do we convince them that it's important to have the right to defend ourselves and all that good stuff?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you. So I'm a big Second Amendment fan, but I think most politicians are cowards when it comes to defending why we have a Second Amendment. This is why I would not be a good politician, or maybe I would, I don't know, but because I actually speak my mind. The Second Amendment is not about hunting. I love hunting. The Second Amendment is not even about personal defense. That is important. The Second Amendment is there, God forbid, so that you can defend yourself against a tyrannical government.
Come on.
And if that talk scares you, wow, that's radical, Charlie. I don't know about that. Well, then you have not really read any of the literature of our founding fathers. Yep. Number 2, you've not read any 20th century history. You're just living in Narnia. By the way, if you were actually living in Narnia, you would be wiser than wherever you're living because C.S. Lewis was really smart. So I don't know what alternative universe you're living in. You just don't want to face reality that governments tend to get tyrannical and that if people need an ability to protect themselves and their communities and their families. Now, we must also be real. We must be honest with the population. Having an armed citizenry comes with a price. And that is part of liberty.
Wow.
Driving comes with a price. 50,000 people die on the road every year. Wow. That's a price. You get rid of driving, you'd have 50,000 less auto fatalities. But we have decided that the benefit of driving, speed, accessibility, mobility, having products, services, is worth the cost of 50,000 people dying on the road. Wow. So we need to be very clear that you're not going to get gun deaths to 0. It will not happen.
Right.
You can significantly reduce them through having more fathers in the home,
yes,
by having more armed guards in front of schools.
Yes.
We should have an honest and clear reductionist view of gun violence, but we should not have a utopian one. You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. Wow. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational. Nobody talks like this. They live in a complete alternate universe. Sure. So then how do you reduce? Very simple. People say, oh, Charlie, how do you stop school shootings? I don't know. How did we stop shootings at baseball games? Because we have armed guards outside of baseball games. That's why. How did we stop all the shootings at airports? We have armed guards outside of airports. How do we stop all the shootings at banks? We have armed guards outside of banks. How do we stop all the shootings at gun shows? Notice there's not a lot of mass shootings at gun shows. There's all these guns because everyone's armed. If our money and our sporting events and our airplanes have armed guards. Why don't our children?
Now you saw that footage. Now let's go to what our founding fathers would have said regarding this. This was written by Thomas Jefferson in 1787. The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. It is its natural manure. The founding fathers did not mince words. They understood that there would be a certain amount of bloodshed in order to preserve our rights here in the United States. Now I want to kind of shift focus a little bit into the weapons that were used during the assassination as well as the shooting in Colorado. So let's go straight into that. So the Charlie Kirk assassin used a bolt-action 30-06 rifle. Something very similar to this. So as you can see, bolt action, not semi-automatic. As you can see, there's a mag bolt here. It does hold up to 10 rounds. 10 round magazine does come with the rifle itself. This is a Savage Access 2, I believe. And as you can see, doesn't have the assault weapons features that gun grabbers love to tout. And, weapons of war, all that stuff. So, that being said, your gun laws would have failed here. Your gun restrictions would have failed here. Your infringement upon the Second Amendment would have failed. You cannot regulate ill intent. You cannot regulate hate. That's not how any of this works. This gun that he used, or this gun that's similar to what he used, was taken from a family member. You can't regulate that. Okay? And I'm going to hear, all this. I see it already. I see already this happening. On the gun grabber side, they're already saying, well, we need to have tougher gun restrictions. They failed. Why would we put more in place if you can't even succeed on the gun restrictions you've put in place? It's a 10 round magazine right here. That's California compliant. That's Washington compliant. That's Colorado compliant. And quite a few other blue state gun grabbing states that absolutely this would be compliant in. This is traditionally used for hunting. The purpose was not used correctly. A message to the shooter here in the Charlie Kirk assassination. If you really think that throwing a 30 caliber round down range at 200 yards is a flex, here's another 30 caliber round. 7.62 by 39. Very popular round in the United States. This is on a 1X prism dot. Again, if you think this is a flex, throwing this down range at 200 yards, it's one after the other, after the other, after the other. That's not a flex. It's pathetic. Moving forward. Going on to the Colorado shooter. So in the Colorado shooting, you had someone who took a .38 revolver. Something similar to this. For demonstration purposes, I'm using a .22 revolver. I believe the brand is Heritage. So you have your little cylinder here. Load up to 6 rounds in there. And it rotates. Right? This does not have a magazine. This is not an assault weapon, quote unquote. None of your gun laws would have stopped this. It was a 16-year-old that had no business having a gun. No business at all. Your red flag laws wouldn't have stopped this. Your Militia Act wouldn't have stopped this. Your restrictions on Glock wouldn't have stopped this. And I can go on and on and on about all the ridiculous gun control proposals and laws and everything and regulations that have gone into place. And it still wouldn't have stopped this, because you cannot regulate someone with ill intent. You cannot regulate someone who's mentally disturbed. And people may not even know how these shooters got access to firearms, because the firearms may have not been in the home. They may not have grown up in a gun-friendly household, right? Again, this is just, to me, common sense, but to a lot of people, this is, oh, we need more gun restrictions. I'm seeing gun grabbers like David Hogg go off and say, oh, we need to have more gun bans. Really? You really think that? And how did that work out? How is that working out? It's not. So now let me address a little bit here on two sides of politics. First, I'm going to address the left. Left. And this kind of plays into one of the problems right now in society and kind of attributes to shootings like the Charlie Kirk assassination. When you go out and you call your opponents Nazis, homophobes, Islamophobes, all the phobes, that tends to create a problem within the United States. It tends to create this divide to where you're demonizing the other side. Again, when you call someone a Nazi, that's a problem. That's something that your side needs to own up on and say, hey, you know what? We need to tone down the rhetoric. We need to be actual political leaders. Where is the leadership here? And say, you know what? We need to quit doing these things. It's dangerous. So I hope, if anything, that this message gets out to some of those politicians that absolutely went on record and called their political opponents a Nazi. I hope that they switch, and I hope that they stop doing those things, because we don't need another 10 almost years of political divide like that and of that type of rhetoric in the United States of America. Now, moving forward to the right. The right, before anything was even revealed about the shooter, they're like, oh, it's probably a trans shooter, it's probably LGBT. You know, if you look at the actual what happened, the shooter was not trans. They did have a trans partner. And in fact, that trans partner actually helped with the case. That trans partner actually brought forward and worked and cooperated with as much information as they could give. And that was hard. A father gave over his son to custody. Everyone was cooperating on this. Okay. So we have to really tone down the rhetoric in this country. For us here at Green Tiger Legion, there is no Red Tiger Legion. There is no Blue Tiger Legion. There's only Green Tiger Legion. Okay? It's for everyone. So since we are solution-based here at Green Tiger Legion USA, I'd like to give a few proposals of what I'd like to see in the future. 1, harden the schools. For those of you that don't know what hardening means, it means putting more armed security on campuses throughout the United States. And absolutely, as a part of this, guard the rooftops. Like, what is this now? An assassination attempt and an assassination? I mean, how much more needs to happen before this actually goes into place here? And I know that the gun grabbers love to use the term common sense, but this is absolutely common sense right back at you. Second, there is a mental health decline in this country. And here, just here in the state of Oregon, a lot of, funding has been taken away for mental health. And we'd like to see that come back. We'd like to see that moving forward as a solution to the problems. Don't take away people's help. People are hurting, and some people actually do cry out and say, hey, I'm not well. But we're not helping them correctly. So that needs to happen as well. And third, with social media. You can get the ban hammer for doing a lot of things on social media, but what you don't see the ban hammer on is typically when these groups get together, they know about them. They know that they're, spouting political violence. Deplatform these individuals. Make sure that they're off the internet. Make sure that they don't have a hub where they can gather and spread their disease throughout the internet and to more people and to more impressionable young audiences that will soon be radicalized. Radicalization is a huge, huge problem in this country, and it can be curbed, but it's going to take everyone to make an effort towards this. And finally, I'd like to say this. Our thoughts and prayers absolutely go out to the Kirk family. My name is Zach Montoya with Green Tiger Legion USA, signing out.